Hey, good morning, friends. This is Julie Hamilton with Life Builders, bringing you simple tips for a strong and healthy life. Hey, welcome to my office, my mom office. We call it a moffice. I'm glad you're here today. Hope your week's going well. It is Wednesday. You made it to hump day. Woohoo! You're halfway done. Good job. I hope you're having a great one, though. Today we are talking about a topic that isn't really talked about a lot. And for some of you, your life is going amazing right now. You are on top of things. You're on top of your game. You are working it out. Good morning, Alicia. Good morning, Erica. Good to see you guys. Everything's working in your favor. For some of you, everything, like, it couldn't be better. But then for some of you, it's really hard right now. Some of you are going through seasons that are very difficult, and maybe there's a diagnosis that you're battling. Maybe there's a marriage that lasted 20 years that just broke up, and you're working through figuring that out, what it's like to get a divorce. Maybe one of your children got a diagnosis, or one of them is making mistakes that are hurting themselves, or you're just going through something. Maybe your business imploded or your finances imploded. Those are seasons of suffering. And it's just one of the most misunderstood concepts today. And I think as humans, aren't we all like on the page where we want to be like, why is this happening? I want to know what's going on. Why is this happening to me? I don't know about you guys. Have you ever said that? Because I know I have. Good morning, Allison. It's great to see you this morning. So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about that. I just wanted to share some thoughts and revelation that I've been getting lately about suffering. And suffering is when you're just going through, a hard time, and probably more people in your life right now are suffering through a season than are everything's going great. And sometimes we don't even know it. We don't talk about it. We don't acknowledge it. And that can be a problem. And so today I wanted to bring you just one main thought about the suffering, especially if you're going through something with a loved one, or you're going through something. As humans, we have the tendency really to lean out of it. Like, oh, great, you're going through this, I'm out, I'm checking out. It's easier to check out your emotions. It's easier to someone ask a comment and it brushes on something inside of you that kind of brings those tears up. And it's so much easier to just turn away and go on with your day and pretend like it never happened and turn the subject, right, than to just actually acknowledge that pain is going on inside. And I think we all do that as humans, because nobody likes suffering. Nobody enjoys it. It's not enjoyable. It's disconjointed and messy inside, and you feel like a mess, and you're hurting, and that's uncomfortable. We don't want that. But I'm just encouraging you today, when you feel like leaning out, lean in. And especially when you have friends and family that are going through something, lean into them. Lean into that experience with them. If you're going in through something right now and you're suffering, I want to encourage you to lean into that. It's not saying it becomes your identity and you become this thing about suffering, but what I am saying is you can't get healing from the pain until you acknowledge the pain. You can't get healing from the pain until you acknowledge the pain. You are not going to get healed by brushing things under the rug and not dealing with them. You are not going to get free in your emotions by every time somebody asks you, you just brush it off and go to the side and change the topic. You're not going to get free. You're not going to get healed on the inside. What helps us heal is acknowledging the grief. Some of you are grieving things that you might be missing. Good morning, Sarah. You're grieving maybe the loss of dreams. You're grieving the loss of a relationship. Maybe you broke up with that boy or girl and you're walking through that and trying to learn how to picture your life without them. And that's a grieving process. Or even a dream of something you had, maybe a career that you had destined yourself for, and then it's crumbling to pieces. It looks like it's crumbling to pieces. And then now you're going, what am I going to do with my life? It's okay to grieve the loss. I'm just giving you guys permission. It's okay to grieve the loss of whatever your dream was. And you have to acknowledge it to get over it. It would be silly if we just thought we're going to get over something by just not dealing with it. Don't do that. It's not going to work at all. Hold on, I forgot where I'm at on my notes. Just a second. Okay. Okay, and then the next thing is that I wanted to encourage you with is, if you're going through the suffering right now, just remember it's only a season. It's a season. You are going through a season. And sometimes we get to this place where we're in a tunnel and all we can see is darkness. We can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And we get discouraged, right? We lose hope. And we're like, where is the light at the end of this tunnel? When is this season going to be over? And you start taking where you're at and you multiply it out, you extrapolate it out across the rest of your life or across the rest of your years or across the rest of your children or anything. We can take where we're at and forget that you're in a season. You're in a season. This season is going to end. And I was thinking of it like when you're in a tunnel and you know that there's an end to the tunnel. You know that there's an end to the tunnel, but sometimes there's like a curve in the tunnel, right? And then when you're in that curve, you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel because that's straight ahead. But once you come around the bend of that curve, you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm just saying to you today, good morning, Sandra. I'm just saying to you today, guys, that you're gonna begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel of this season of suffering. You're not gonna suffer forever. It's a season. It has a beginning and it has an end, and you are going to begin to see the end of this season. You're going to begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Don't lose hope, because it's just you're in a curve, you're in a turn of the road, and you just can't see it right now. And then the last thing I wanted to encourage you with about suffering was that sometimes we're like, why am I going through this? Have you guys ever said that to yourself? Like, why do I have to go through this? Why do I going through this divorce? Why am I going through this bankruptcy, this foreclosure, all of these things? But listen, the suffering is producing in you maturity. It's producing in you endurance. It's producing in you character. It's producing in you hope. It's producing in you compassion. It's producing in you understanding. It is making things inside of you that you could never develop otherwise, other than going through these trials. And it sucks. I get it. It hurts. Why do we have to go through these things? We will never know. I think we will never understand why we are going through the times of suffering. Good morning, Stacy. But you need to know that in those times, it's not a waste. Your tears are not wasted. You are developing things in you that can't be developed any other way. And then you see someone I take Stacy. Stacy's dad is in hospice. Stacy, you're going to reach out to someone who's going through the same situation. Their dad, their parent, their grandma, their grandpa is in hospice, and you're going to have what it takes to reach out to them. Good morning, Tasha. So don't forget, it's producing in you maturity, perseverance, hope, character. Suffering is not a waste. It is hard, but it's not wasted in your life. In your years of suffering, in your season of suffering, is not going to be wasted. It's going to be fruitful. Because guess what? Fruit trees don't grow in the mountaintops, right? Fruit trees, they grow in the valleys. So if you're in a valley right now and you're in a time of suffering, you are growing fruit, but you might not see it. You might be like, nothing's changing. I'm just going through this for no reason at all. But you're growing fruit, you guys. That's where fruit grows, in the valleys. And lastly, for all you faith-based people, listen up. Jesus likes to be in the middle of the mess. Think about it. When they were on the biggest storm on the Lake of Galilee with all the fishermen, I mean, these guys were pros. It was like if you were in a storm on Deadliest Catch, and the Deadliest Catch guys were freaking out because they're like, oh my gosh, we've never seen a storm like that. Can you imagine how big it would be? But the thing is, Jesus was in the boat, but he was sleeping. He was at peace. Jesus goes toward the mess. He went toward the beggars. He went toward the lame. He went toward the woman in adultery. He went toward the woman at the well. He approached the suffering. And so if you feel like your heart's a mess, you're suffering through some season, I just want to encourage you, just invite God into that season, because he doesn't mind the mess. And it's okay to say, God, my heart's a mess, but would you come into the boat with me? Will you be in this boat with me in this storm? And he loves being there because he's at peace and he brings you peace. And so just sharing that with you today, don't forget, if you're a faith-based person, invite God into that boat, because he's going to be there resting with you, and he loves you, and he wants to help you through it. Good morning, Sarah. Oh, thank you. Hey, good morning, Pops. Good to see you. Oh, thank you. So that's just my thoughts about suffering. Don't turn away from it. Turn into it. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge the pain. Acknowledge the grief. That is the only way that you're going to get healed through it. Also, remember, it's a season. It's a season that you're going through. It's not forever. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but you just can't see it right now. But it's coming. And then also don't forget about the good things that suffering is producing in you, even though we hate it and it stinks. And man, I'm telling you, it is not fun. Just lean into it. If you have somebody going through something in your life, lean into their suffering. It's hard because it's easier just to walk away, but lean into it because you're going to gain more through this than you're going to gain by just sweeping it under the rug. I hope that encourages you guys today, and if you're going through a season, I'm going to be praying that you're going to have strength and courage to go through this season, and you're going to be blessed through it, and that you're going to grow through it, and you're going to come out the other side with things that you didn't even know that you have, and you're going to be stretched and grown and multiplied, and I'm just hoping that this season is going to be over for you really soon if you're suffering right now, and I hope you guys have an awesome day, and may your minds, your minds be fierce, and your hearts be strong, and your spirit be kind today. I love you all. Mwah! Bye. Let me know how I can pray for you too. If you're going through a season of suffering, comment, let me know, and we'll be praying for you, all right? Love ya. Bye.